Greetings, my name is Jace Hargis, and I'd like to give you a very brief overview of mobile learning and some of the activities that I've actually participated in with my research. I make this slide initially because these are the four kind of overlying, arching umbrella concepts that I'd like to focus in on when I talk about mobile learning, which is obviously the ability to engage students, to connect students with themselves, with others, and with the content, to empower faculty members to offer these environments, and obviously to allow students the ability to create conceptual understandings. More and more research has been done in this area. I've been fortunate to publish probably a dozen different articles on this, but there's no mistaking that obviously mobile devices, mobile learning, mobile opportunities is increasing. And this is part of the infrastructure issues that historically we've had some problems about access, but we now know that for the most part a lot of folks have the ability to have these devices, and more research has been produced specifically on some of the advantages and possibly disadvantages of these in and beyond the classroom. The model that I'd like to share that is the conceptual model for this is Ruben Puntendera's SAMR model, so substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition. And if you haven't taken a look at this, the whole point here, like many taxonomies, isn't one's better than the other. It's to challenge and to ask faculty to think about where are you on the scale, where do you want to be on the scale, and think about where mobile learning and where other assistants might be able to help you to achieve those goals. As an advanced organizers, I'm going to briefly run through this concept of a little bit of teaching and learning theory, some research, some examples, and then touch upon the scholarship of teaching and learning. Principles. This is a really neat slide. It's a bit dated, but I think in a nutshell this shows all the possibilities and kind of where mobile learning is and where it can be. So the point of having the power of access anywhere, saving, storing things in the cloud, a concept of playing with purpose, so allowing students to really engage in a way, but also a productive way. We as faculty need to be able to help structure something in that productive way. Synchronous and asynchronous, allowing them to, instead of gather these materials, we're going to actually do these curation of materials and resources. It can be always on, can be authentic, and it can be obviously informal. This is a bit dated, about a year old, but this is in a nutshell. I just put this up here to take a look at the New Medium Consortium, EDUCAUSE partnership with the Horizon Report, and that they did indicate that mobile learning was really going to be on the horizon several years ago. And I always say this to reinforce this concept of I think that we're now past it being emerging and possibly being kind of a normal part of what we can do. Lots and lots of possibilities. I name these as a few, but these are the kind of applications that I think have become more mainstream. Using Twitter, Instagram, podcasts, screencasting, all of these are now pretty natural and normal on our devices. I will also talk a little bit about some of the ways that we can engage students with the concept of SRS, or student response systems, which we can use something like the Plickers, which basically takes one device, a mobile device, to capture the QR codes, Poll Everywhere, Kahoot kind of a gaming, even Google Slides has some of these things, as well as Padlet, GoFormative, and Quitch I'd like to speak about a little more extensively. The apps go on and on and on. The day of, there's an app for that. It's kind of come and gone, and I think some people have immediately downloaded millions of apps and realized they didn't use it, so now they're backing off on what those may mean. But I do encourage people, like anything, to think about what we have on our shelves, what we have on our systems, that we can make and use as part of our day-to-day teaching. Quitch is a fairly new app, and I like this one. I'll highlight it just a little bit because I think what it allows us to do is simply provides a format for us to stay in contact with students after class. So the way Quitch works is basically you develop some question sets, and it basically feeds those students throughout the time between your class settings. And so if you have some really key concepts that you want to make sure that they're being reminded on, they can answer it. It's a bit of a gamification, but it's that reminder of what's expected, what they should know, and then when you hit class the next time, you all are on plus or minus about the same page. Some of my research, really briefly, to share some of the data we collected in using the two different models. One is what's called the Tpac Model by Mishra and Kohler, and then the other one will be the SAMR model, as I mentioned earlier. But we did, in a nutshell, and hopefully you'll pause the video when you like and look at some of this data. We did find some significance between the Tpac of what was going on with technology and pedagogy and the interface between knowledge and technology. But the bottom line is we did see a lot of kind of empowerment of faculty. We saw significant collaboration. More in this kind of interesting thing about going from what we call this production or productivity apps to very discipline-specific apps. And we really like this concept of looking at active learning in a more authentic pedagogy. We did actually a study using the Tpac model, which we found some really interesting movement from over a 1-year period, basically looking at substitution to augmentation. There were some increases in that, and everything seemed to move with the same set of faculty from one level to the next over a time period like of about 1 year. So that's in a nutshell, really a flyby on mobile learning. All of these videos are basically there just to kind of give you some thoughts to think about, and then hopefully figure out which of these you'd like to use and delve a little further.